Welcome to all my fellow metalheads, extreme music lovers, anarchists, horror enthusiasts, occultists, S&M sympathizers, furries, satanic crackheads, weirdos, and backyard belchers to the one and only Mendo Metal Podcast. We're a Mendocino County-based podcast focusing on the various metal genres and bands from our neck of the woods and beyond. We're back in your face for another episode. I'm Austin Spence from the band Embryonic Devourment, and with me is my ultra cool badass co-host Brian Sticky Tips. Joining us tonight, we have Adam, RC, and Jack from the band INFEX. We're waiting on Jack to join us here, but we'll go ahead and get started. INFEX is going to be playing the upcoming Mendo Lake Metal Fest Saturday, June 17th. And we're stoked that INFEX agreed to come on this podcast and share some insight into their band and their take on the style we all love, heavy fucking metal. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you?
Nice. That was a sick growl, dude.
Right on.
Your whole introduction to this thing, it's like, wow, that sounds like my Tuesday night.
Right? Typical Tuesday, right?
Wow, I wonder what your Fridays must be like.
Yeah, Jesus.
How you doing, Jack?
Good, man. Sorry I'm a little bit late. My kid literally just spilled an entire bottle of root beer and a glass of milk in the living room floor all at once. So.
Oh shit! I thought that was whiskey you were drinking, but apparently it must be root beer, huh?
Well, no, that is what I'm drinking. But we had a quick crisis that I had to attend to. She's like all sad, and I'm like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to be settled down. We're good. So
the mom would be freaking out, but the dads are all cool about it. We're like, whatever. Vacuum it up.
Right?
Shit happens.
That's why we have dogs. How's everybody doing?
Pretty
Living
good.
dream, four-legged kids.
Better now.
Whoa, you're spinning around on your chair there, Adam. That's crazy looking.
Oh yeah.
It's Adam's doing special effects tonight.
Right. Trying to get comfortable here.
Yeah, you're making me like motion sick, dude.
Yeah.
So who's the originator for INFEX? Is that you, Jack?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that would be me. Yes.
Nice, man. So how did you? Take us back. How did you first get into heavy music, and what made you want to play heavy metal?
Wow. I'm an old dude like all of us here. I got into heavy music as a kid in 7th grade when somebody played. I think if I go all the way back, it's kind of timely at the moment, but a little embarrassing. The very first like kind of heavy thing I ever heard was Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil," and I was so intrigued by it. you know what I mean? The pentagram and just the imagery and "Shout at the Devil," and like you remember that intro song "Children of the Beast." That was on that record. It just really, like, as a kid of the 70s and 80s, it grabbed the core of my soul. And I was like, this is so fucking cool. And then shortly thereafter that I got introduced to Iron Maiden via Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind. And then a year later, well, it wasn't a year later that I was introduced, but like, Kill 'Em All then came out shortly. I think I got introduced to that a couple of years after that. And when I was like 15 or something like that. And then ever since then, that's just kind of been what I live and breathe is, fast, aggressive, heavy music. Being a latchkey kid, left to my own devices after school, in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade or whatever, like coming home and like, dad's gone out of the picture and mom is at work and I've got this fucking little boombox and some cassettes. Let's fucking crank the Slayer, and pull weeds or whatever it was I was supposed to be doing after high school, So that's where it all started. And I got a fucking guitar when I was like 15 years old and learned a couple power chords and started a punk band.
Nice.
What was your first band?
We never actually had a name, but it was a Les Paul copy and a Crate G10 practice amp, and I learned bar chords.
Yeah.
and then like kind of learned the first thing I ever learned to play was the chord progression of Rocky Like a Hurricane. And then I just started like picking that faster and just moving my hands around. And I'm like, oh, we should start a band. And like I had a friend that played drums, and yeah, kind of just went from there. We annoyed all of our parents successfully.
That feeling, man, when you first jam with a drummer for the first time, I remember that as a kid. It's just like I couldn't stop smiling. It was just it was incredible.
Yeah, it felt so good. It was so cool. Like, and we like, and all we knew, it was awful. It was terrible. But like, we just played these like dumb chord progressions and like Keel songs, and we tried to play Motley Crue songs, but those were too technical for us at the time. But yeah, and I've just been enamored with heavy music ever since, and I've never looked back. Like.
So how did INFEX come to be? Because I know I met the band in 2012 at the first Redwood Metal Fest. I hadn't heard of the band before that, and my friend Jacob King, who was my partner at the time, we had a band drop off, and he said, "Hey, I know this band INFEX and this other band Aftertaste. They can jump in their place." And I was like, "Cool," because we needed some bands. You guys came and played, and that was my introduction to INFEX. Obviously, you guys were a band before 2012. When did INFEX start?
We officially, and I don't want, I know I'll be a little heavy on the talking at the beginning of this, but I don't want to like just be the only voice here. But we officially formed in 2010, and it's kind of funny. I was in, as I said, I was in a band as a kid. I was in another band, like I was in like a semi-serious band in my early 20s. We played some, decent gigs with like MDC. We had one of our final shows that we got offered and it didn't work out, was playing with the Offspring right as they were blowing up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it didn't, it's kind of like, it's all like always kind of like, I wonder what would have happened if we'd have played that gig. Probably nothing. But, I always had a guitar and kind of kept it around and mucked around with it. But as I got older, that kind of took aside, like I got busy with life. I went to school, got in a relationship, was, becoming an adult, blah, 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 all the typical bullshit. But oddly enough, my now ex, but the mother of my child, Pepper, her mom, Lynn, and I bought a house in Vallejo, California in 2009. And just by a weird off chance, and I'll try to keep this quick, the selling agent when we bought our house was like, "Oh, I have my friend Deb, and we're gonna have," because it was like it was a bought out of a foreclosure. It was a disaster. It was a mess. She's like, "I'll have these people come in and clean it for you before you move in." And the girl that came to clean it was wearing a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, and we just got chatting, and her name is actually Deb Davis. Her husband is Jesse Davis of Davis Video Creations.
Oh, yeah.
Long story short, we became friends pretty quick, and they were like always like, "Hey, little did I know we lived right around the corner from this old like little place in Vallejo called Chris Club that had metal bands playing there all the time." And so I just started kind of going there and seeing metal bands play, and kind of reignited the passion in me. Went to a couple tidal wave festivals. Actually saw Embryonic play. I think, what was it, 2008?
Yep,
maybe,
that was
or
with
something
Hyrax,
like
maybe.
Yeah, that night. And I think it was that show and that day I fucking won a Dean Flying V in a raffle. And I hadn't had a guitar. I hadn't had a guitar in a couple of years because, like, just life had moved on and I was doing other things. Or not an electric guitar anyway.
I actually saw that being raffled off, man. I didn't know that was you.
I won it. I wanted. It was like a piece of shit, Korean import Dean VMNTX or whatever. But it just like kind of just got my blood flowing, and they're like, "Oh, what are you singing?" I'm like, "Hey, let's fucking jam," and just said something over the mic, the PA, and that nothing came directly of that, but like we had this house in Vallejo and we had this back room, and my friend came over, was like, "You should turn this into a music studio," and I don't know, something just lit the passion in me again, and my guitar collection started growing again, and I got some amps, and then I was just like, I want to find somebody to jam with, and I literally did the whole bullshit, like put an ad on Craigslist, like, hey, I'm an old dude. I think I was 40 at the time, 40, a long time ago, and met this guy Phil, and him and I were like similar age, similar backgrounds, and just sort of casually wanted to like play some music. Wrote a couple riffs, and we're like, this is fucking cool, and we're drinking beer, and then we met Corey kind of randomly, and he brought his drum kit over, and then we were just like, we got something here, like let's keep this train rolling. And then we met Dave, and fast forward to our first show in February 2012. The next show, or not the next, but like shortly thereafter, that summer in 2012, with Brian playing with fucking Death Angel, up in Redway, and it was just like, wow, like, I don't know, like, it was sort of like my head was spinning. I'm like, what happened? Like, why are we here? Like, how did this all come about? And now cut to fucking 11 years later, and I don't know how many hundreds of shows, a couple of little tours, and
That's awesome. That's
an
awesome.
album, a couple of EPs, and
On,
couple lineup
on vinyl
changes,
too, man. You guys got an album on vinyl. That's killer.
That was like always my target goal. I will let RC and Adam take over in a minute, but like that was kind of my benchmark of like, this is what I need to do. I want a fucking record with fucking killer artwork on fucking vinyl, and it cost a fucking arm and a leg.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
as they can attest to, but we did it, and I'm so fucking proud of that. Like, it's,
hell yeah.
Like kind of, and I still have only about 100 copies of it left. So if anybody wants a copy.
Nice. And where can people order a copy at?
From our Bandcamp page. I might have taken the store down for a while because just it was becoming stressful to fulfill all that. But infex.bandcamp.com, or at any one of our shows at Mendo Lake Metal Fest, we'll have copies, all of our CDs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I know that was a long meandering story, but I mean, we're
Oh, it's awesome.
We're a 13-year-old band at this point, and
Wow.
Adam's been with us what 7 years? 7 years.
Damn,
And
time flies.
RC at least 6 maybe, and yeah, exactly. Several iterations, but this has been the most long-lasting, stable lineup we've had, and my best friends. And
5 years if you count both times I've been in the band.
Yeah, we don't count that first time. I mean, not to discount it, but I mean, I'm just speaking from a timeline perspective. That's all. Because RC had a stint with us back in 2013 when he first moved out here, and we needed a guitarist, and he joined us on guitar, but logistics didn't make sense at the time. So.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously, yeah, I mean, 2012, 2010, 2012, fast forward to now. Let's say, Adam, how did you come into the band? What was your introduction to being in INFEX?
Well, I stopped playing with Embryonic, and I didn't really want to do much touring anymore, and life was getting complicated. The home life, my dad and stuff like that, and Jack and I had always talked about doing kind of like a side project of some early death metal, like Entombed and Grave and stuff like that. Just something to fuck around with, and
maybe with some D beat in there was kind of something we talked about.
Hell yeah.
And we started really talking about it, and I think we even got together, and INFEX was on hiatus at the time. And we're like, okay, well, let's see how this thing goes, and maybe make it a thing. And I suggested maybe getting back with getting INFEX back together, and I guess that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because we needed a drummer, and I was like,
what year was this that this all happened?
2017,
20? No, probably 19.
No, because it was on the heels. It was when Aaron McCoy left our band. He'd been with us for a couple of years, and things just didn't work out. And we had just come off a tour with DRI that was facilitated via Brian, which was incredible. And then we played, I think we played a Redwood Metal Fest, and shortly after that, Aaron came back and was like, "You guys, this just isn't, this isn't working for me." It was the summer of 2017, and I was going through a divorce. It was just a messy time in life for a lot of us, and so we kind of just said, "Okay." Dave, Corey, and I were still together, but we're like, let's just put this down. We have a stable studio. We have a bank account right now. Let's just pay the rent through January, and I'll talk to you guys in a few months. Like, we need some time I need some time to like figure out what I want in life, and figure out what's happening with my home life and the band and blah 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 blah. Yeah, and so that's actually when that happened, Adam. Sorry, not to correct you publicly, but
No,
that was very specifically when that all went down.
Boring too, man. It's like being on a roller coaster.
That part of it, before my time, I wasn't 100% on how it all actually kind of went down. I knew that you guys had taken a break, and and
and that's kind of when we sort of talked about like, oh, we should do something, and you're like, well, what's INFEX doing? I'm like, nothing, and you're like, well, why don't I just slide into that fucking joint?
I'm thinking that it already had a name, and it'd be easier than like starting from scratch, so to speak.
True. Yeah.
So Adam jumped into the band, and then along comes RC. How was you? Obviously, you had a stint with the band previously, but how did it come to be that you were back in the band?
Well, to start with, go back to 2013. I had 3 bands in Alabama, and then we moved out here from Alabama. And in the first 3 weeks that we were out here, Adam was in Embryonic at the time, and he knew I was looking to get into a band, and he invited me out to this INFEX show. That night, INFEX was a 3-piece down at Chris Club. We had a good fucking time. It was the first time that I met Jack, hanging out with him and Dave and Corey, and a month later, I'm on guitar. 6 months later, life, the move, shit happens. It's expensive to be out here paying rent while paying at the same time. Fast forward to 1 year, we're all 3 up in New York, or was it Jersey? Was it the Jersey?
It was New York. Yeah, it was New York. It was New York.
It was
we're up in New York hanging out, and I find out that Dave, our bass player, is planning on retiring. And so they hit me up about coming back in on bass. Is that something I'd be interested in? I'm like, I'm so fucking ready to play now. Life had changed for me. Things were better. Money was good. I didn't have any complaints, except for the fact I wasn't in a band anymore.
Yeah.
So fast forward back into the band, and within a short time, we're getting into a writing phase. Adam was already like sending me riffs before I even was like having the first rehearsal with the guys again. And next thing you know, we're already like booking shows and talking about the album, and then fucking COVID happened. We went in the studio for that album on March 2020.
March 24th.
Mid-COVID.
1 week into like the declared pandemic.
Oh no.
I took 2 weeks of vacation for recording, and we're like 6 feet distancing in the studio, starting to record this album when we're not even supposed to be leaving our homes.
Isn't that a weird thing? You're like scared of your own band members. You're like, you're wearing a mask, right? That's like the weirdest shit, man. Like me and my drummer we're like scared of each other. What the fuck is?
Yeah. That was a bizarre time. Like,
do you think
Yeah.
that whole scenario had anything to do with the way that the album came out and the sound of the album and the songs and all? Like, how did that all sort of work into? First off, what is the name of the album?
Burning in Exile.
Excellent. And so, like, how much of that was influential in the record?
all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was
like,
a lot going on in the world politically and everything. There was a lot of influence and a lot of inspiration for fucking music right then. And we did have a song called The Burning, and then we had a song called Exiled. And then at some point in the conversation, we're like, all this time that we haven't even been able to release this album, we've been burning in exile.
Yeah. There's a really good girthy bass tone on that, man. I'm just curious. me being a bass player myself, what were you using on that recording?
So actually, just had good hookup with who we had for our producer at the time. We were working with Juan Ortega, and it was right after, let's see, Testament had just been in the studio, and we had this conversation about how Steve DiGiorgio, when it comes to my bass influence, Steve is like the fucking man, and he just finished recording Steve, so he's like, I'm going to run you through the same amp I ran Steve through.
Ooh, nice.
We were like, fucking A, yeah. Please.
Yeah. And I don't pick, I finger. When I play guitar, the problem is if I pick the bass, I will play it like a fucking guitar. I will want to chord. My guitar side kicks in and I want to do runs and shit. It's like, nah. If I'm playing bass, I have to finger. It's the only way I get the right feel.
Killer. Hell yeah, I respect that, man. What was did you catch the name of the amp or the module you were playing through, or?
I'm pretty sure it was like an Ampeg.
Was it?
FPT.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. Those Ampegs, man, they got a killer girthy fucking tone out of it.
For a reason, you know.
Live rig. I can't remember the name of it though, but I've seen it a couple times backstage. But I mean, his live sound is excellent too. So
thick as fuck.
I would have to say, having listened to that album, my favorite song on that album is it Into the Abyss? Is that the name of the song? Okay. Yeah. There's something about that song that just I can't even really, I don't know, it emotes something when I listen to that song. It's one of those songs you put the CD in your CD player and you leave it on repeat like 30 times. Like it's a song that, I'm sorry, it should be longer so you can listen to it longer, but it's just an amazing song. I really love that song. And yeah.
That's one of my favorites on the album too.
Mine too. Yeah. And that, we'd been like, even pre RC and Adam's involvement in INFEX, those riffs had been kicking around and the basic arrangement, but we just never really knew what to do with it. And once they joined, we kind of brought that back up into the forefront. And that's actually, I think, the first song we recorded where we basically all three of us have lead vocal duties on that, which has always been something I'm a big fan of a band called Neurosis.
Yeah.
And they basically, like, the two guitarists and the bass player all do essentially lead vocals throughout their catalog.
Yeah.
And I've always just been a big fan of that approach because you just have so much more dynamic. And I think that's the first song that we did where we kind of really explored that. And like RC does we do a back and forth with a couple verses. I think Adam has a lead vocal in it's not a traditional song with a verse chorus structure, but I love that song so much.
There's
like
something
as a writer of it, it's kind of weird, but it's like one of my favorite children. I
think
really,
the intro to the song is kind of what grabbed me to begin with. I mean, the song itself is awesome, but the intro of the song just kind of sets a mood immediately. That's just like despair, and it's like like I said, it actually kind of makes your hair stand up a little bit when you hear that intro.
And that was all RC did that all on his own and sent it to us. He's like, what do you think about this intro for the song? We're like, that's fucking amazing. Like, of course.
And
nice.
Just real quick, another song that's off that album is Blood of the Wicked, which happens to be on the Mendo Lake Metal Fest compilation CD. You can get that free at the taco shop here in Lakeport when you get some tickets, everybody. But we'll give that one a listen because that's a really good song. But yeah, I mean, great album. All the songs are great, and yeah, I'm happy you guys made it. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Yeah, we're stoked. Well, we've been working together a long time, Brian, and I, have nothing but gratitude and thanks for all the love you've shown us over the years, by taking a chance on letting us play with Death Angel and the various Redwood Metal Fests we've done with you, and just countless gigs. Like I don't want to say we're picky or selective, but we're busy, so we don't take every offer that comes our way necessarily, and we're generally don't book a lot of gigs.
Well,
But
you guys are, not only are you guys great musicians, but I've known the majority of you for a fairly long time, many, many years, and you guys are stand-up dudes. You guys play thrash metal, man. Like that's my vibe, dude. Like, like it's like a package deal. It's like
me too.
what's not to like, man. So
yeah.
awesome. I'm glad that we've had a lot of the experiences that we've had, a lot of the shows that have been played, and they've all been great. So
yeah. It's been a great ride.
And I do hear a little bit of that punk influence in your guys' sound too, Jack. When you're talking about, your first band was a punk band, I hear it, man, in INFEX a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's what's cool about it. It has that anger,
always been my thing, like it's like early days of DRI and Excel and Attitude Adjustment and Cryptic Slaughter. For me particularly, not as much as Adam and RC, but like that is even more in the forefront than death metal for me. I mean, I love death metal, don't get me wrong, but I just came up in the heyday of that thrash and crossover era, and living in LA at the time, I went to some amazing shows at this place called Sender's Ballroom. It was RKL, Excel, The Exploited, and Dark Angel, or whatever. Like the shows were crossover, so it was a fucking incredible time.
Yeah, and the thrash shows and especially the punk shows, they're just fun. It's off the hook. You see people rolling around on top of each other and just going nuts. Whereas as the death metal crowd, it of course fun too, but these guys are like trying to kill each other in the mosh pit, and they're all serious with their arms folded and stuff, and there's like you go to a punk show and there's beers flying and people playing pranks on each other and shit, and it's just a lot more fun.
Punk is kind of like thrash's like fun cousin that likes to stay over on the weekends once in a while. You know what I mean? Like and I definitely like that one song you do. Was it Buzzkill? Is that the name of the song? That's got a whole lot of heavy punk kind of influence in it. I really like that song too.
Yeah.
When I first joined the band, it was more of a skate punk kind of feel to the whole thing in the beginning. And by the time I came back and Adam was part of it and everything, things that Jack and Adam and I would always collaborate on influences and talk about, I think we brought something else into the band on top of that, because it's like we were like the only three members of the band who would like listen to Entombed and all that kind of shit too,
right?
Blue metal, and Jack and I would like bond over some shit. Adam and I would bond over some shit. Corey and I would bond over some shit. Adam and Jack would bond over some shit that would be music that others in the band normally wouldn't listen to, but we would somehow like bring all of those fucking flavors to the table.
Yep. That's the beauty of it all.
Well,
and that helps bring a good sized crowd too, because then you got people listening to both kind of styles, thrash and punk, and you guys have a little bit of that death metal influence,
right?
So you guys generally have pretty good shows, man. But you guys have a mixed audience, and
we're death thrash. That's our style.
I'm gonna jump in real quick because we're at the 5 minute mark. So I have a quick question real quick. We've talked about where INFEX has been, the things that you've done at this point. What is the future of INFEX? What do you guys got coming up the road? Anything on the plate?
We're ready.
I guess we should have that conversation now, you guys.
We took some time off from gigs just to dedicate ourselves to a writing period. And I'm hoping and expecting that the direction we're going, when I think back on what we did on the last album, the way we would collaborate on lyrics, the way we would collaborate on vocals, the way that this band is good about hearing each other for feedback and stopping and communicating ideas of what's good, what doesn't work, what could be better. Let's not ditch this. Let's bring something. Let's just freshen it up, or let's look at it from a new perspective. The fact that this band can communicate and do that shit is what's going to make the next thing we put out even better, even tighter. You're going to know that it came from all four of us and not just one single vision.
Here's your parts, guys. Learn this. Right.
I love
Yeah.
that, man. It's good. It's, that's one of the things that I hear from bands that have been doing it a while is after a while they start to lock in on the communication, and once that starts happening, it's just there's no boundaries, man. You can just take it super far into the depths, and I can tell you guys are gonna have a sick fucking next round. It's gonna be sick, dude.
We hope
Hopefully,
so.
yeah. That's the intent, right?
All right. So
But as long as it feels good, as long as it feels good.
yes, yeah. So
And you're
before
having fun.
Before we wrap things up, there's something that we do at the end of every episode, and we like to find out from the bands. Typically, we ask to name 3 bands that you think that we should be listening to right now. But since we got 3, you guys, each one of you give me a band that you think that we should be listening to right now. RC, you first.
Oh, damn.
Never heard of them.
That'd be a good band name though. Damn.
Damn. Dang.
I'm gonna go out there with Mars Volta
Okay.
because I don't think they're heard or appreciated enough.
Okay. Jack?
I'm gonna go. This is a little out of my zone, but Amel and the Sniffers. It's fucking amazing.
Okay.
They are so good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm already intrigued. Right after this, I'm gonna be checking that shit out.
Yeah,
You
Googling.
should.
We're
You
good.
should.
There's be some Googling sessions after we're done here.
They're fucking amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Adam, who you got?
So there's kind of a local band from Oakland that I've been checking out called Vorlust, and features members of Necron. Yeah, they're pretty good. It's got a chick singer. She's pissed. So check them out.
They are great. Yeah, Amel is a female fronted. Not that matters. I want to just take back that I even mentioned that, but yeah.
I think it's great when you got a free male fronted band, dude.
Yeah, we need more women being featured in the scene.
They can get more pissed than men.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, way.
On that note, I'm gonna say check out the band Stabbing. They're really good, female fronted death metal band. Yeah, and the lead vocalist, man, she just outdoes most burly death metal singers that I've heard, and it's not like, oh, she's good for because she's a chick.
No.
She's legitly will crush the dudes in half. And like her vocal range is just insane. Definitely check out Stabbing. What about you, Brian?
The first band that pops in my head is a semi-local band. I guess they're the East Bay, I want to say. Death Wish Kid. They're kind of a throwback to the punk era, like hardcore. They just got a really cool sound and a really cool vibe. And kind of hoping we can hear something from them again here. Please.
Adam and I saw them like a few weeks back with Cultural Warfare and Ghost at the Door.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We got introduced. Me and Jack got introduced to them at the last Redwood Metal Fest.
Yeah. They're an awesome band. Actually, the last time I saw them play was down at the Ivy Room with the Boneless Ones in -6. And check out -6 if you get a chance. They're
good guys.
If you're into like just really fast-paced, hard-hitting like Pantera style thrash metal, like they're awesome.
Rudy and heavy hitting.
It looks like we're kind of winding down on the time, guys. So I guess we'll wrap this one up. But thanks for doing the podcast, guys. Really appreciate y'all, and look forward to the fest coming up that we're all playing together June 17th.
Super excited.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be the shit. So hell yeah, this wraps it up. And
we keep doing these podcasts, and I keep forgetting to tell everybody to get tickets for Mendo Lake Metal Fest. It's June 17th at Freedom Riders MC Club in Lakeport. You can get tickets online at Brown Paper Tickets, or you can stop in at Taqueria La Mexicana in Lakeport and get tickets on the spot. Get your tickets. It's going to be a huge event. It's going
to be an awesome day.
Hyrax is headlining. Are you kidding me? Hyrax and freaking Lakeport. Like, who would have thought? Well, anyway,
You usually have to go to South America to see them these days.
But I thank you guys for being on the podcast and having a chat with us and giving us some insights to INFEX. And I look forward to seeing you guys here pretty soon.
Yeah, thanks for doing
brutal.
Mendo Metal Podcast episode 12. INFEX.